Hollywood is the land of glittering stars, but it's also ruthless enough to erase them overnight. Some names were written off, canceled, or dragged through the mud. And yet, against all odds, they came back brighter, bolder, and more iconic than ever. From shattered careers and broken reputations to red carpets and magazine covers, these stories are the very definition of from canceled to iconic. But what does it really take to rise from the ashes? Is it talent, resilience, or simply refusing to disappear? And among these stars, who do you think deserves the crown of true redemption? Before we dive in, let me know. Where are you watching from? Drop it in the comments below. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you won't miss the raw truths, hidden scandals, and comeback stories Hollywood never wanted you to see. Darren Criss was never supposed to become a global idol. When he first stepped onto the stage of Glee as Blaine Anderson, the charming bow-tie-wearing crooner who stole Kurt's heart, he didn't just sing, he lit a fire. Fans across the world fell in love with his boyish smile, his voice that could melt glass, and the way he embodied queer love on primetime television. For many, Darren became their first gay crush on TV. He wasn't just acting. He was a symbol of visibility, a reminder that love between two men could be just as dreamy, just as magical, as the Hollywood romances on the big screen. But that spotlight came with a shadow. Darren was not gay. And soon, the very role that launched him into stardom turned against him. Critics accused him of queerbaiting. Social media questioned why a straight man should profit from playing queer roles, while so many openly gay actors struggled to find work. Darren, once hailed as a hero, suddenly became a lightning rod for controversy. He was canceled, if only lightly, but the sting was real. For a while, it seemed like Darren might never escape Blaine's shadow. Casting directors didn't know what to do with him. Too associated with Glee, too controversial for some queer fans, too unconventional for Hollywood's macho standards. He drifted in a dangerous limbo, famous, but stuck. And then came the role that changed everything. Andrew Cunanan in The Assassination of Gianni Versace. The true crime drama forced Darren to dig deeper than ever before. He transformed himself into a chilling, magnetic villain, the queer murderer whose charm was as deadly as his violence. It was a risk. Taking on another queer role when he was already accused of exploiting them could have destroyed him completely. But instead, it elevated him. Darren's performance was nothing short of electric. He was seductive, terrifying, impossible to look away from. Critics hailed it as the performance of a lifetime. And Hollywood responded. Darren didn't just earn praise. He won everything. An Emmy, a Golden Globe, a Critics' Choice Award. Suddenly, the same actor who was once accused of stealing from the queer community became the one reminding Hollywood just how powerful queer stories could be when told with artistry and respect. From there, Darren reinvented himself. No longer just the Glee guy, he became a Broadway powerhouse, a red carpet regular at the Met Gala, a face in Vogue. He embraced flamboyance, camp, and luxury fashion, sequin jackets, velvet suits, gender-bending styles that turned heads on every red carpet. Darren leaned into the very queer-coded aesthetic that once got him in trouble, but this time he owned it. Darren's story forces us to ask, do we judge actors for the roles they take, or do we honor the art they create? Drop a 1 in the comments if you think Darren truly earned his place as an icon. Jacob Elordi was supposed to be the perfect heartthrob. With his towering 6'5" frame, sharp jawline, and smoldering eyes, he looked like he'd been sculpted straight out of a Calvin Klein billboard. His breakout came in Netflix's The Kissing Booth, a cheesy teen rom-com that made him an overnight sensation. Girls plastered his face on their bedroom walls, and queer fans whispered, is he just hot, or is he hiding something more? But fame arrived with a darker side. Almost immediately, Jacob began to show cracks in his golden boy image. Rumors swirled about his bad attitude on set. Paparazzi caught him in messy breakups from Joey King to Zendaya to Olivia Jade. Social media branded him a player. Then came the backlash. Critics dismissed him as just another pretty face, a shallow teen idol who wouldn't survive in serious Hollywood. For a while, it felt like Jacob was on the verge of being canceled before his career had even truly begun. Then came Euphoria. As Nate Jacobs, the violent, toxic quarterback, Jacob Elordi flipped the script. He wasn't the perfect boyfriend anymore. He was terrifying, magnetic, impossible to look away from. The role was risky. Audiences might confuse the actor with his monstrous character, but instead, it became his salvation. Jacob proved he could act, and not just act. He could dominate the screen. Nate Jacobs was queer-coded, complex, dripping with repressed desire, and suddenly queer fans couldn't stop talking. Was Jacob just playing the role, or was he tapping into something more personal? Still, the scandals didn't stop. Jacob was labeled arrogant in interviews. His whirlwind romances fed tabloids more than his acting did. Twitter threads called him toxic, problematic, even canceled. Yet, just as quickly, the tide turned. Because Jacob wasn't fading away, he was leveling up. Enter Saltburn. The 2023 thriller cemented Jacob as one of Hollywood's most daring young stars. His role was sensual, queer-coded, dripping in luxury excess. Suddenly, the boy from Netflix rom-coms was strutting into the Met Gala, gracing the cover of GQ and Vogue, and embodying high fashion in Bottega Veneta and Valentino. Hollywood had tried to box him in, and he exploded right out of it. What makes Jacob Elordi so impossible to ignore isn't just his beauty, it's the tension. He walks the razor's edge between adored and despised, between straight-laced leading man and queer-coded enigma. Fans debate endlessly. Is he the new Marlon Brando, a dangerous talent who bends masculinity into something fluid and magnetic? Or is he simply lucky, riding the wave of controversy into stardom? Either way, Jacob Elordi has become an icon of his generation. He's not the safe, polished teen idol Netflix tried to sell. He's messy, unpredictable, and larger than life. He is the bad boy Hollywood can't control, and audiences can't resist. Jacob's story leaves us with one burning question. Do we love him because of the chaos, or in spite of it? Drop a 2 in the comments if you think Jacob Elordi is destined to become the next true icon of Hollywood. Icon. Ben Hardy has the kind of face Hollywood can't resist. Angelic features, piercing blue eyes, and a jawline sharp enough to cut glass. When he first appeared as Roger Taylor in Bohemian Rhapsody, audiences gasped. He wasn't just playing a rock legend, he looked like he had stepped out of a vintage Rolling Stone photo shoot. Overnight, Ben became one of Britain's most talked-about rising stars. But behind the red carpet smiles, there was drama. Ben's name started swirling in scandal. Whispers about a casting couch story. Gossip that painted him as nothing more than a Hollywood boy toy. He was accused of sleeping his way into roles, of being a pretty face without depth. And then came the rumors about his love life, photos, whispers, and blind items linking him to men as well as women. Queer fans wondered, was Ben Hardy bisexual, or was it just another tabloid fantasy? For a while, those headlines threatened to overshadow everything. Casting directors hesitated. The industry loves a bad boy, but it fears scandal. Ben's career slowed, and the world wondered if he would fade into yet another forgotten pretty face. But Ben wasn't done. He pivoted. Instead of chasing blockbuster fame, he dug into indie films and prestige TV. Slowly, he began to shed the tabloid image and prove himself as a serious actor. His performances grew sharper, his roles darker, his presence magnetic. And Hollywood began to notice. Soon Ben was walking red carpets again, not as the boy toy, but as the star. Fashion houses began inviting him to events, draping him in designer suits from Burberry, Dior, and Saint Laurent. Vogue called him one of the fresh faces of modern British cinema. The same media that once tried to cancel him for scandal now couldn't stop photographing him at Fashion Week. What makes Ben Hardy's story so iconic isn't just the comeback, it's the transformation. He went from being dismissed as disposable eye candy to becoming a global talent. The scandals that once defined him now only add to his allure. Because in Hollywood, a little danger is currency. A little rumor makes you unforgettable. And for queer fans, Ben remains a fascinating enigma. He's never labeled himself, never denied or confirmed the whispers. Instead, he leans into the ambiguity, letting his image float between straight heartthrob and queer-coded icon. That mystery, combined with his undeniable talent, keeps audiences hooked. Today, Ben Hardy stands not as the scandalous boy toy of yesterday, but as a man who took control of his own story. He is proof that you can't cancel someone who refuses to fade. The question now is, has Ben Hardy finally escaped the scandals of his past, or have they become the very reason we can't look away? Drop A in the comments if you think Ben's best and most iconic chapter is still ahead. Noah Centineo was once called the internet's boyfriend. With his crooked smile, messy curls, and effortless charm, he became a household name almost overnight thanks to Netflix's To All the Boys I've Loved Before. Girls swooned, TikTok exploded with edits, and suddenly Noah was everywhere. He wasn't just an actor, he was the new definition of a teen heartthrob. But fame burns fast, and the internet turned on him just as quickly. Old tweets surfaced, some problematic, some simply bizarre. Critics mocked his stoner philosophy interviews where he rambled about love and energy. Tabloids painted him as shallow, a one-note actor who couldn't escape the shadow of Netflix rom-coms. And when his messy dating life went public, fans accused him of being fake, manipulative, even canceled. The golden boy of streaming was suddenly the butt of the internet's jokes. For many young stars, that kind of downfall is fatal. But Noah, he refused to disappear. Instead, he started to lean into transformation. He changed his look, bulked up, grew out the scruff, and swapped his boy-next-door style for edgy, gender-fluid fashion choices that blurred the lines of masculinity. Suddenly, red carpets saw Noah in oversized blazers, pearl necklaces, and tailored designer fits from Prada and Valentino. The internet that once mocked him now whispered, "Wait, is Noah Centineo queer-coded?" The rumors exploded. Was Noah bisexual? Was he experimenting with his style for attention? Or was this the real Noah finally stepping into his power? He never gave a straight answer, and that only made him more magnetic. For queer fans, Noah became something more than a fallen heartthrob. He became a mirror of the modern generation, fluid, undefined, unafraid to play with identity. And Hollywood noticed. Instead of sticking to teen rom-coms, Noah landed roles in action. Black Adam, thrillers, The Recruit, and edgy indies. He began to prove himself as more than just a pretty face. Netflix still wanted him, but this time not just for romance. He was now being cast as complex, flawed, even dangerous characters. What makes Noah's story iconic is not the scandals themselves, but his refusal to let them define him. He didn't fight the internet's labels. He didn't deny the rumors. He let people talk while quietly building a career that kept evolving. And that strategy worked. Because in today's Hollywood, mystery sells. Ambiguity excites. And Noah has mastered the art of being both relatable and untouchable at the same time. Now, he's back on the red carpet, a sex symbol for a new era, one that doesn't need a label to be powerful. From canceled tweets to whispers of queer icon status, Noah Centineo has proven that even the internet's boyfriend can survive heartbreak and come back stronger. But the question remains, will Noah fully embrace the queer-coded energy that fans see in him, or will he keep playing the mystery card forever? Drop a 4 if you think Noah's transformation is just beginning. Lucas Hedges was never built to be a Hollywood blockbuster star. From the very beginning, he carved out a different path. The indie darling, the actor's actor, the soft-spoken boy who could turn raw vulnerability into pure art. With breakout roles in Manchester by the Sea, Lady Bird, and Boy Erased, Lucas became one of the most promising young talents of his generation. He wasn't flashy, he wasn't loud, he was subtle, emotional, unforgettable. But subtlety doesn't protect you from scandal. As Lucas's fame grew, questions about his sexuality began to swirl. Fans noticed the queer-coded characters he chose, the way he leaned into soft masculinity. Was he queer? Was he straight? Was he just profiting from roles meant for gay actors? In 2018, he finally addressed the speculation, saying he was not totally straight. Instead of silencing the rumors, the statement opened a floodgate. The backlash was sharp. Some accused him of queerbaiting, of using ambiguity to make himself more marketable without fully committing to the queer community. Others felt his comments were brave, a rejection of Hollywood's obsession with rigid labels. Lucas suddenly found himself caught in the middle of a culture war. Too queer for some, not queer enough for others. For a young star, that kind of scrutiny could have been career-ending. Hollywood is ruthless with actors who confuse their audience. But Lucas didn't play into the noise. Instead, he doubled down on his craft. He continued to choose roles that pushed boundaries, playing queer characters with honesty and depth. In Boy Erased, he portrayed the pain of conversion therapy with haunting realism, proving that his performances were about empathy, not exploitation. Slowly, the industry shifted. Directors praised him as fearless, a young actor unafraid to blur lines. Fashion houses invited him to events, dressing him in Prada, Gucci, and Louis Vuitton. He wasn't the loudest on the carpet, but he was always the most intriguing, his quiet beauty and ambiguous aura making him a favorite of Vogue photographers. The very qualities that once sparked backlash now made him magnetic. Today, Lucas Hedges stands as one of Hollywood's most unique young stars. He doesn't fit into easy categories. He isn't chasing blockbuster fame or box office dominance. Instead, he has built a reputation as the indie darling under fire, an actor who turns criticism into fuel and scandal into intrigue. His willingness to live in the gray areas of identity has made him not just an actor to watch, but a cultural figure for a generation that rejects labels. Lucas's story reminds us that cancellation isn't always about destruction. Sometimes it's about reinvention. By refusing to conform, he transformed himself from a target of criticism into an icon of authenticity. The real question now is, has Lucas Hedges simply survived Hollywood's fire, or has he become even stronger because of it? Drop a 3 in the comments if you think his best performances are still ahead. From canceled tweets to broken reputations, from whispers of scandal to the bright lights of the red carpet, these 5 stars prove that Hollywood's greatest weapon isn't perfection, it's reinvention. Each of them faced the sting of backlash, the weight of rumors, and the shadow of doubt. And yet, here they stand. Not just survivors, but icons. Because in the end, being canceled doesn't have to mean being erased. Sometimes it's the very spark that forces a star to rise higher than ever before. Their stories remind us that resilience, vulnerability, and a refusal to fade away can turn shame into power and controversy into legacy. Which of these journeys inspired you the most? Drop your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to hit subscribe, because the next untold Hollywood story is just around the corner.